You see things get shoved into like messaging shoved into good stuff. Like that's why I stopped watching Star Wars, because lesbian space witches. I'm sorry, you've now taken it out of the realm of art, and you've said like your message is just plastered. But it doesn't mean that the manipulation hasn't been going on long enough. It was just done creatively. So, you ever watch the show The Expanse?
Oh, for sure.
It's great. Do you ever notice?
Awesome show.
Have you seen the climate change messaging in that, and the social messaging that's in it?
So the climate change messaging in it hits in the later seasons.
No, it's right off. No, it's right off the bat. You don't notice it because it's done creatively. Sci-fi. This is why I like sci-fi using.
Well, give me what are you talking about? I know the show well. Okay,
I'm getting there. So sci-fi does these. If they do it right, everything's predicated on ifs, right? Like so, you take Star Trek. Well, if we have faster than light travel, if we have gravity manipulation, then we can build on all that, and all the ifs make sense, right? So I love the ifs in The Expanse because they're realistic ifs. What happens if somebody's born in space? Well, their bones get long. They can't stand in a gravity well. But in the background where they don't mention it, which is why I like it, they've decided to adopt the future. What is it, the 22nd century, 23rd century? Something like that? Exactly. It's a couple hundred years into the future. And if you look at it, the first time they show Earth, I think it's New York City or Washington. I don't know which it is. No, it's New York City. And you look, they zoom in, and there's a wall around the entire city, blocking out the ocean. So the city is below sea level the entire time. It's not like, oh, lesbian space witches are the force, and that's what it is, and that's the way they present it to you. They like just show their view. And to me, I don't say that as, oh, god damn it, they put climate change crap in here. I look at it as, there's a really creative take. What if, there's your if, the climate change theory happened? What do they do in the future? They wall it off. Also, they mention it occasionally, but they mention it as a negative, which I really like. They have universal basic income, right? Mm-hmm. And they talk about, he's like, well, 90% of the Earth's population lives on basic income. They just, they don't work. They just scramble away. And the way Solara, she's one of the head, the chick that's in it with that voice, she's going off about it. And she doesn't really like put them down, but she doesn't sound like she's talking about it positively. And like, meanwhile, the Martian population is all like, yeah, these guys are lazy and they take advantage of everything they have on Earth. So right. You have your counterpoint messaging. That's one of the reasons The Expanse is excellent writing, even with messaging I disagree with. But you see how easily it's slipped into your sci-fi where you don't even know it's there.
Yeah. Or I'll give you an example of overt messaging that I think is still done right, which was Mr. Robot. I don't know if you ever watched Mr.
No,
Robot.
I haven't. It's not that old, right?
No, Mr. Robot is absolutely incredible because even though, and Mr. Robot is one of those, Mr. Robot is one of those shows that started, I'm guessing probably around 2014. So you can tell when Trump becomes president.
Oh, God, yeah.
You can tell when Trump becomes president. There's a lot of shows that you could see the flip switched. They could see So Mr. Robot is pretty cool because what it is it's all about the influence of basically the deep state. And it shows you how the bankers. So there's this group called Evil Corps. It's E-Corps.
This is in the show. It's not
in Mr. Robot.
Okay.
So
it's fiction.
It's fiction. It's fiction, right? So anyway, so you have this bank that is trying to influence Congress because there's this Chinese connection that's going to be, I forget, they're annexing the Congo. That's what it is. They're gonna annex the Congo, which I think it's cool that they picked the Congo because we assassinated the head of the Congo back in the 60s. But anyway, we're Patrice Lumumba. But anyway, so in a regime change. But it shows how the bank and the head of the bank is really in charge of the government and working out how, you see where these companies, like a real example would be something like George Soros's Open Society, right? George Soros's Open Society, what they do is that they work with the intelligence community and they know that in 2 months, the United States is going to work out a deal for like Namibian rare earth minerals. And what they'll do is George Soros, because he knows what's coming, he will all of a sudden invest in Namibian rare earth mineral futures. And that's how Open Society is. It has all the money it has. That's how the Harvard Endowment has all the money it has. That's how all these oligarch elite kind of people that rule the world do it. So in Mr. Robot, they have it's called Evil Core, and it's like this big bank, and the head of the bank is this evil guy, and you see like how he's trying to influence this annexing of the Congo, and then Mr. Robot is a group of hackers, and their goal, and I won't spoil it, but their goal is they want to hack Evil Core and put a lock so they can't access any of your financial records, meaning that all of us are expunged of our mortgages because they don't know what to charge us.
That's great.
And that's the goal of the first season. And let me tell you something. It never gets bad. It stays good the whole time. And the messaging becomes a little more overt as Trump comes in. But the underworld, the deep state assassins and all that stuff, it is an incredible,
I have to check it out.
Show. I highly recommend it.
I'll put it on the list. But it goes to show you how, like, entertainment softens you up. It softens you up for what might be coming. Like, if you get a chance, watch. I can't remember if it's called Contagion or Outbreak. I forget which one it was. It was made 10 years before COVID. So I can't remember if it's called Contagion or Outbreak or something like that. And it's literally made 10 years before the COVID outbreak. So, like idiots, Carrie and I watched this the first week we're locked down, right? And I'm like, all of a sudden I understood every term they were saying on the news and the way it followed, except we all didn't like disintegrate and die when we got whatever it was, right. You know, and they literally followed it all the way back to a bat dropping in a Wuhan wet market. I swear to God. Yeah. Really? It's like, so talking about softening us up for what's going to happen or what's going to happen. Yeah. So how much of any of this expanse through Lesbian Space Witches is government pushed, government planned, government funded, aka things like Operation Mockingbird?
So I will say this, there are tremendous parallels between the most recent attack on Iran and the most recent Top Gun movie.
Really? I thought Maverick did a really good job of making that just bad guy.
Yeah, but if you look at the mission and the op, it's exactly the same. It's like it's scary, the similarities. Yeah, the DoD influences movies for sure, absolutely for sure. To the point where I've heard, and I can't confirm this, but I have heard, I'm pretty sure this is true, that like Ian Fleming had a really good idea for a spy named James Bond, but he didn't have 15 awesome ideas. You know, and that there was some MI6 involvement. Same thing with the TV show Mission Impossible. The Mission Impossible had intelligence community influence. You can go, there are lists you can go online that will tell you what like Department of Defense influence movies there are. It's rampant. It is absolutely rampant for sure. You talk about Mockingbird. I saw a video. This was a few years ago. I saw a video of a CBS executive, and this was in the 1950s, and he was talking about how the head of CBS absolutely had ties to the intelligence community, and the intelligence community was influencing them. So the propaganda that we deal with now got ramped up after that Smith-Mundt Act, where they didn't have, where they were allowed to, and they could just that coupled with the what Clinton did in the 90s, allowing for the media companies basically to just subvert antitrust laws. And you have basically 6 companies that own all the media. Well, they're putting out all the movies and all that kind of stuff. So they're absolutely
well. Go more into the Smith-Mundt Act. For those of us that don't know, can you explain the Smith-Mundt Act?
So the Smith-Mundt Act was an act. Now I'm going cold off the top of my head here, but I'm pretty sure the Smith-Mundt Act came out in like 1948. Basically, what it was is the Smith-Mundt Act was what they had because the intelligence community was deciding that they had to go out and they had to sell propaganda to help subvert communism throughout the world. I mean, that was the big push. After, we were allies with Russia because the enemy of our enemy is our friend. We were allies with Russia. And then when World War II ended up, it was a big race to split up the earth between, the West and communism, So one of the ways that they would do this would be like, you've heard of Radio Free Europe, or Radio Free America. This is what Tucker Carlson's father was involved in, and these were intelligence community. These were CIA programs to send anti-communism propaganda out into Europe and other places around the globe. What the Smith-Mundt Act did is the Smith-Mundt Act prevented the media from throwing this state-run propaganda at Americans. What Obama did is he made what was called the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act. And the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, it was basically the Smith-Mundt repeal.
Yeah.
And it basically said, look, communism is, remember the 1980s called They Want Their Politics Back? That was Obama's quote against Mitt Romney in the debate, right?
Yeah.
And then
debate.
Yeah, and then they create.
That was a hell of a choice we had there.
Yeah, controlled opposition. But anyway,
Right.
So they said that the Smith-Mundt Act was basically obsolete because communism had been defeated, and because of like the internet and the modern technology, they used that as a justification as to why we could now. I guess it was maybe to counter disinformation or what. I forget exactly what the reason was.
Does it matter what the excuse is? Does it matter?
Yeah, but what it was an excuse for them to start to propagandize us. In the 1990s, Bill Clinton passed a law that stop the antitrust laws from being effective against the media. This is why, if you remember, in like the early 2000s, you would start hearing about like Clear Channel Radio.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Clear Channel. iHeartRadio is a big one. iHeartRadio is something else. But anyway, the reason why you had these clear channels is because what would happen is you would have, Chuck Devious Media, and Chuck Devious Media owns 7 radio stations throughout the Bucks County area.
Right.
The Bucks County and southern New Jersey area, and that would be your media thing. And then you would have a guy who would have 30 TV stations in like Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, something like that, like in that area. And then, so all the independent media was owned by, you had these small guys that owned a small section. So maybe a small section was getting what they wanted, but then over here was getting what they wanted. But now all of that has been rendered obsolete because all media in the United States boils down to 6 companies. And those 6 companies are owned by 3 companies. Which means that everybody's getting the same message. Everybody's getting the same message. And the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act is part of the reason why that's happening.